Okay, so once again, good afternoon, everybody. Our subject today is English. So before we start with our main topic, I would like to do a little bit explanation first about this works or work. Okay, so when we say works, you're going to use works if the pronoun is in singular person. But if you're going to use work in a statement or in a sentence, you're going to use plural person, they or we. They or we. While works use singular person, he, she, it. Okay? So he works at blank. She works at blank. It works. Okay, so again, works is for singular person, work is for plural person. So, for example, if the question says, does he blank works or work at school? Okay, so the answer is, does he? Since he is a singular person, we're going to use, what we're going to use if singular person? We're going to use works, right? So does he works at school? So the answer is works. Does he works at school? Yes, he does. If your answer is yes, you use does. It's a positive. But if you're going to use no, you're going to use doesn't or does not. No, he doesn't or no, he does not. Okay? So when are you going to use does? Of course, if your answer is yes, that's the time you're going to use does. But if your answer is no, that's the time you're going to use doesn't. Now let's have our main topic this morning, which is how to use does and doesn't. Does or doesn't are simple present tense form of the verb to do. So we have verb to be, we have also verb to do. Okay, when are you going to use does or doesn't? If the statement is positive, that's the time we're going to use does. If the statement is negative, that's the time we're going to use doesn't. And use does or doesn't if the subject is third person singular. Okay, bear that in mind. If the subject is a third person singular, you are going to use does if the statement is positive, and you are going to use doesn't if the statement is negative. But make sure that your subject is a third person singular. So what are the examples of third person singular? We have he, she, it. This topic is not new to already because we learned this one, third person singular. You still remember those? Okay, example of third person singular. It's here. We have the first person, we have the second person, and we have the third person. So if the third person singular is being used in a statement, you are going to use does and doesn't. But it depends, again, on the statement, if it's negative or positive. Okay, so when do we say that a sentence or a statement is negative or a negative? Okay, let's look at the examples. Okay, example of does and doesn't in a sentence. Number one, she does her homework. Okay, she does her homework. We use does because the sentence is positive, meaning she is doing her homework. While in number two, we use doesn't because he does not like apple or he doesn't like apple. Doesn't is the contraction of does not. Contraction of does not. Okay? So bear in mind that not, the word not makes it negative statement. Okay? Now let's look into how to use does or doesn't. How to answer a question using does or doesn't. Okay, you base your answer. If your answer is yes, of course you say does because your answer is yes. It's a positive answer. Yes, he does. Does he work on a farm? Yes, he does. That's a positive statement. But what if your answer is no? That's the time you're going to use doesn't, because not. Okay? Not. Does not. He doesn't or he does not. Understood? Another is he a farmer? Is he a farmer? If your answer is yes, you're going to say, yes, he is. Or yes, he is a farmer. Okay. Why he is, not he does? Because the question starts with is, not does. That's why you're going to use yes, he is. But if the answer says, does he work on a farm, for example, that's the time you're going to say yes, he does. And if your answer is no, no, he isn't. And what does isn't mean? Isn't meaning is not. Therefore, it is a negative statement. No, he isn't, or no, he isn't a farmer. Okay, so both of these are correct. No, he isn't, or no, he isn't a farmer. Or yes, he is, or yes, he is a farmer. Now it's time for you to do your workbook on page 31, lesson 3. Okay, so please open your workbook on page 31, lesson 3, number 8. Please answer the following questions, the following statements, fill in the blanks. Okay, so I put already choices over here, doesn't or does, yes or no. So number 1 is already answered. So proceed to number 2 until number 5. Number 1 is he works on a farm. And who works in a farm? It's the farmer. So that will be your basis to answer number 2, 3, 4, and 5. So since a farmer works on a farm, number 2, he blank work in a hospital. Is it doesn't or does? We are talking about farmer. Okay, number 3, blank he work with animals. Doesn't or does? Okay, and then number 4, yes, he does or doesn't. And number 5, yes or no. And next activity on page 31. Page 31, same lesson in lesson 3. So what are you going to do here is you're going to look and write. The instruction says look and write. So look at the picture first and then read the statement and then fill in the blanks. So number 1, does he work on a farm? Look at the picture. The man is a farmer, right? Okay, so since the man is a farmer, he works on a farm. Yes, he does. Does he work on a farm? Yes, he does. Does he wear a uniform? Does he work with animals? Is he a farmer? Okay, again, if the question starts with is, how is your answer? Okay, your answer could be yes, he is, or yes, he is a farmer, or no, he isn't, or no, he isn't a farmer, because you use is, not does. Okay? So number 5, 6, 7, and 8, you're going to base your answer on the picture beside. So she is a firefighter. Blank, she work in a school. Yes or no? Blank, she wears special clothes. Blank, she work with computers. Or does she work with computer? What do you think? Blank, she a firefighter. Yes or no? Okay, so you fill your answer on the blanks. So nothing to write on your notebook. All your worksheet is in your workbook on page 31. Okay? And your last activity, since you got 3, circle the different job and then write your answer in the space given. So example in number 1, I think taxi driver is different. A taxi driver doesn't wear special clothes. So on the next line, you are going to explain why a taxi driver is different. Okay, so the jobs are provided already. You just need to choose between astronaut, firefighter, taxi driver. So in number 2, you choose between vet, police officer, or farmer. Police officer, teacher, taxi driver. Okay, taxi driver is already used in number 1. So you can choose teacher. Number 4, nurse, web designer, fashion designer. Choose only one. I think nurse is different. Why is it a nurse different? Because a nurse doesn't wear what? A nurse wear white clothes. Okay, so for example, in number 2, I think if we're going to use vet, I think vet is different. Why vet is different? A vet doesn't work at school. Understood? Okay, so I hope everything is clear. Going back to your first worksheet, activity. This is your first activity, right? Okay, do this one. And then after doing this one, you proceed here. And then answer this one also. And then take photo. And then last, number 10. So you have 3 activities for today. If you have question, again, please drop in our line. So that's all for today. Thank you for listening. But before I end up the lesson, I would like to remind one thing. Please keep on reading your vocabulary on your vocabulary booklet that I gave you before. And please let your parents sign. Your brother, could be your mother, could be your sister. Please memorize those words because those are very important in our lesson. So if everything will be alright, or if we go back to school, it will not be hard for you. Okay? We need to finish that one at the end of the semester. So keep on reading those vocabularies. Understood? So once again, thank you very much for listening and see you again tomorrow.